I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere, ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. My name is Eddie Ruiz, and I was until recently the proud principal of Stonewall Jackson Middle School, a school I attended as an early teen, and one that was much different back then than it is today. Today, Jackson Middle School is one of the 7 national demonstration schools in Florida, as well as an international baccalaureate MYP World School. My AVID journey begins with my Cuban immigrant mother. She came to this country with only a 5th grade education, but she left this world with a degree in hardship and struggle. My story, her legacy, springs from adversity and bears the fruit of determination and resilience. All my life, I grew up surrounded with poverty. Due to my mother's lack of education, she had worked as a hairstylist to put food on the table and provide us with shelter. And I use the word shelter intentionally, as no place I ever lived as a child ever felt like a home. As I was growing up, it was normal to move 4 to 5 times a year, sometimes making it back to where we originally started. And once we were settled, a few months would pass and back to square one. We'd have to move because my mother always struggled with money for rent. I was not the only one affected by my mother's choices. I have 2 sisters, my older and my younger one. My older sister ran away with her boyfriend when she was 15 years old, and I didn't reunite with her back until several years later. I was the caretaker of my younger sister. I was the one who dressed her, fed her, and took her to school every morning. I was still at the age where someone should have been taking care of my needs, but here I was responsible for the needs of my sister. The lifestyle we were used to seeing was one full of drugs, alcohol, abuse, and neglect. It was in this environment that we first learned to have a distorted view of the role of a man. My sisters and I would experience men that would be in the house for a few weeks and then leave. We were witnesses of different men that would abuse my mother, sometimes to the point that she would have to drink from a straw. We were victims of a man that would abuse and take advantage of children. Because of this lifestyle, I grew up and received my education from the streets. It was the streets that taught me how to get a bite to eat when there was no food at the house and the food stamps had not come in. It was the streets that taught me how to earn my money by washing cars and pulling weeds, and sometimes from the guys that were passed out at my house after a huge party. Even at a young age, I had individual determination. If I only had the support to channel it differently. In high school, I was what you would call the perfect AVID candidate, if AVID had existed at my school at that time. I had never heard the word college. No one in my family had even graduated high school. I definitely had the potential, but I lacked the skills and support needed to excel. I was enrolled in a few honors classes. I made B's and C's. One of the critical junctures in my life occurred in my 10th grade year. I had gone to the hospital to meet my family because my mother had just given birth. When I walked into the room and noticed everyone crying, I was scared and I asked what had happened. The doctors stepped up and stated that my mother and my baby sister were both HIV positive. Despite this tragic news, I dedicated myself more to my school and to my studies. I got involved in nearly every club and organization in order to occupy my time and avoid going home to see my loved ones suffer. My story is full of adversity, but also one of hope. I had several adults in the school that did believe in me and saw potential in me that I never did. I can remember the assistant principal at my high school encouraging me to take the SATs as an 11th grader. And let me tell you, I had no idea what the SATs were or even how to study for it. He had told me if I did well, he could give me a scholarship. So I took his advice and I took the SAT, and out of 1,600, scored an 890. He saw my results, the AP, and he said, take it again. If you try harder, maybe I can get you that scholarship. Well, I did. I did worse the second time, 850. I was discouraged, and I didn't understand why I did so poorly when I did so well in my classes. The reality is that I was not prepared for the test-taking skills necessary for high achievement on standardized tests. I refused to allow my discouragement and that single test score to keep me from my success. My senior year in high school, February 7th, my mother passed away with PCP pneumonia. That following week, although at that time I did not know it, marked the next critical moment in my life. On February 14th, it was Valentine's Day, an all call at the school was made for me to report to the media center. When I arrived, the principal had met me there, and he walked me into a room full of teachers and staff. There they presented me with a wallet of $2,000 and a basket of food, and for the next month, they delivered food to my house. On that day, the family that I did not have at home was demonstrated and defined to me. That semester, I worked the hardest I had ever worked and got the first set of straight A's in my high school career. That summer, another tragedy occurred. My sister, 3 at that time, went into the hospital due to a fever, and it was discovered that she had an infection in her blood that would take her life. I started 2 months later with the help of several scholarships and grants into college, and what an eye-opening experience. I realized very fast that I was not prepared. I didn't have the skills that I was presently showing or instilling in my 6th, 7th, and 8th graders at the middle school. My first day in class, as the professor was talking, I realized I didn't even know how to take notes. I struggled to keep up. And when I went home to read the textbook, realized I couldn't even pull out the important ideas and concepts from the textbook. I lived in the tutoring lab for almost 1 year. My experience in college taught me that I needed help across the board. As a guest speaker in my AVID classrooms, I tell my students not to take the support they receive in school for granted and to work hard because it will and it does pay off. I graduated from the University of Central Florida with a BS in science education and became a high school science teacher. I taught and I loved it for several years, and then was pulled to work as a dean. I started to work with a different population of students that I started to mentor, and these students usually got in trouble. The message I shared then and continue to do so today as an instructional leader is no matter the circumstances you have thrown your way, you do have a decision in which path you take. It may be hard, but it will be rewarding. I share with them to end the cycle of poverty or problems, a high school diploma is the minimum they need. I push students to look at college and become the person they dream to be. The road you take does make all the difference. Although very hard on me, my younger sister took all of these events in our lives and she took another path, one that was a mirror image of my mother. She dropped out in 9th grade and had her first child at 18. With no job and no education, she followed the lifestyle of drugs and crime. Her life saw many challenges, including living in the woods, living in a women's shelter, giving up her second child for an adoption, and having an abortion that nearly ended her life. I stand before you today proud to say that she eventually received her GED, and at the age of 30, although she has lived a hard life, is about to graduate Valencia College next fall. In closing, my life story has brought me much pain, but also much wisdom. In borrowing from Oprah Winfrey and taking from my life's experience, I want to leave you with what I know for sure, and these are 10 nuggets. Number 10, culture doesn't define you, it enhances you. Number 9, you will pay now or you will pay later, but you will pay. 8, everyone experiences adversity. It's how you handle it that matters. Number 7, students will live up to the expectations that we set for them. We have to be mindful of our expectations. 6, individual determination is a deciding factor in the outcome of our lives. Number 5, relationships and rigor matter. 4, our past does not have to be our future. 3, every child has a story worth telling. 2, the road you choose truly does make all the difference. And number 1, AVID can change lives. Thank you very much.